I go by DJ Young Slade.
DJ, I produce, I engineer, and I'm an artist. And my dad is the king of crunk, Lil Jon.
The son of Lil Jon, a missing adult son.
A body has been found in a pond in Milton in the search for the son of rapper Lil Jon.
Nathan Smith, known in the music world as DJ Young Slade and son of the legendary Lil Jon, was found passed in a pond near his place in Milton, Georgia. And even though police are saying there was no foul play, the streets are not accepting that answer so easily. People are looking around with raised eyebrows, trying to understand what really went down. Today, we are breaking down those final hours, the unusual details surrounding his disappearance, and why so many people believe this situation has layers that aren't being addressed publicly. Something about it feels unfinished, like pieces are still missing from the puzzle. This was a 27-year-old man with real momentum in his life, someone who stepped outside one Tuesday morning and simply never came back home. That alone has people uneasy, wondering how something so sudden and confusing could happen to someone with so much ahead of him. So let's get into who Nathan Smith really was, because mainstream outlets often reduce someone's entire life to a simple headline, and that does not capture the full picture at all. Nathan Smith, also known as DJ Young Slade, lived in Milton, Georgia, about 30 miles north of Atlanta, the same city where his father, Lil Jon, built a legacy that helped shape an entire era of hip-hop and crunk music. And if anyone somehow wasn't aware, Lil Jon is a Grammy-winning icon. He played a huge role in creating hits like Yeah with Usher and Ludacris, and Turned Down for What, tracks that still echo in clubs and festivals today. That is the musical heritage Nathan was born into, but he wasn't leaning on his father's success to define him. Nathan was putting in real work. He was a music producer, an artist, and an engineer, developing a skill set that stood on its own. And beyond talent, he had discipline. He earned his degree from NYU, New York University, one of the most selective and respected schools in the country. Getting accepted is hard enough, but finishing that program while continuing to build his craft said everything about his dedication. While handling academics at that level, Nathan continued sharpening his production and engineering abilities. He wasn't just maintaining his lane, he was building something meaningful with his own hands and his own vision. People who knew him understood he had real potential to make an impact. Lil Jon publicly stated that Nathan was amazingly talented, and the connection between them was obvious. They appeared together at events, shared moments on social media, and even competed side by side on Family Feud in 2024. That episode showed their real relationship, laughing together, supporting each other, moving as a true father and son team. The bond Nathan had with his father was the kind of connection a lot of people wish they could experience, not just a celebrity parent and their child, but a real relationship built on respect and genuine care. Folks who actually knew him said Nathan stood out in every room. Lil Jon called him the kindest human being you would ever meet, describing him as caring, thoughtful, polite, passionate, and warm-hearted. And that wasn't just the language of a grieving father trying to honor his son. People around him, from industry connections to longtime friends and close family, all repeated the same thing. They said Nathan carried a certain light, that natural energy that made people feel comfortable around him in a world where ego and fake attention run everything. Nathan didn't act like someone chasing trends or trying to prove he belonged. He was genuine, humble, and quietly talented. And his work in production wasn't something he did for fun because he had money. He was building a real path, engineering tracks, collaborating with artists, and slowly building a portfolio that was starting to get noticed. He had the education, the discipline, the access through his father, and more importantly, the skill to make a name for himself without leaning on someone else's fame. So when news broke that Nathan went missing under strange circumstances, people in the hip-hop world reacted quickly. Something about it felt off from the very start, like pieces were not lining up the way they should have. And that's when the timeline became important, because once you look at the details, the questions start stacking up. Early Tuesday morning, Nathan didn't walk out of his house. He didn't drive off. He ran out on foot. And here's the part that had everyone confused from the moment it was reported. He left without his phone, In 2025, nobody just steps outside without their phone, especially someone who works in music and keeps everything on that device, from beats to contacts to files. A phone is your lifeline, your way to call for help, navigate, or reach anybody if something goes wrong. Leaving it behind suggests something deeper, whether panic, confusion, or a mental state where clear decisions can't be made. The Milton Police Department got the call Tuesday morning as soon as his family realized something was seriously wrong. They reported him missing quickly, and right away made it clear this was not normal behavior for him. The missing person notice released by police stated that Nathan may be disoriented and in need of assistance. When law enforcement uses words like that, it usually signals concern about someone's mental or physical state, and it told everyone paying attention that this situation was far from ordinary. Disoriented. That word carries weight because it points to Nathan not being in his normal state of mind. It hints at a moment where something inside him wasn't aligning the way it usually did. Maybe he was going through a mental health crisis. Maybe anxiety hit him heavy. Maybe a psychotic break. Maybe deep depression that twisted his sense of reality. It could have been substances affecting his perception, or something as simple but dangerous as extreme exhaustion. Whatever the cause, the people in his life caught on quick that something serious was going on. Family and friends didn't just worry about him, they were concerned for his safety, which means they sensed something was wrong even before he stepped out that door. Maybe his behavior shifted the night before. Maybe he said something that didn't sound like him. Maybe he had been acting different for days, but no one realized how deep it ran until he vanished. We don't have every detail yet, but we do know the people closest to him noticed this wasn't normal. This wasn't Nathan operating as himself. This was Nathan in crisis. Milton is a quiet, upper-class suburban area, the kind of place with tree-lined streets and big homes where neighbors know each other, and strange things stand out fast. It's not a location where people vanish without someone noticing. So when a situation like this happens in a community that tight, everyone starts moving. And that's exactly what went down. For days, there was a full-scale search effort. Milton police, his family, his friends, regular community members, all stepping out to look for him. They searched neighborhoods, wooded areas, fields, walking paths, anywhere he could have passed through. Businesses were contacted, flyers went up, his face spread across social media at lightning speed, helped by the fact that his father is well-known nationwide. The hip-hop community shared his photo non-stop, hoping he'd be found safe, hoping someone would spot him somewhere. Volunteers lined up. People checked home security systems and doorbell cameras. Local shops pulled their footage. Police knocked on doors and followed every lead they could find. This wasn't treated like a routine missing person case. Being the son of someone famous added extra pressure, extra eyes, and a whole lot of urgency to get answers. But Tuesday passed, then Wednesday, then Thursday, still nothing. And with every hour that went by, fear tightened its grip because the reality is cold. When someone goes missing, especially under conditions that suggest mental distress, the odds of a safe return drop fast. Everyone involved knew the timeline mattered more than anything, and the longer the search dragged on, the heavier the silence felt. Then Friday morning arrived, and that's when the search shifted. A body was found in a pond. One of those common retention ponds built into suburban neighborhoods all over America, meant for drainage, sometimes blending into the background behind trees and tall grass. The type of spot you can walk past 100 times and never look twice unless you're searching with intention. The Milton Police Department later released a statement saying the body was believed to be Nathan Smith. It was the update nobody wanted to hear, but the update that brought the search to a sudden, painful stop. They're now waiting on the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office to confirm the identity through fingerprints, dental records, or whatever method is needed. But based on the location, clothing, description, and timeline, authorities believe the body is Nathan. And then came the statement that had everybody turning their heads. According to police, based on everything they've seen so far, there is no indication of foul play. That line sat heavy with people. No struggle, no attack, no outside involvement. They're suggesting this was either an accident or something self-inflicted, something where no one else played a part. It painted the situation as a tragic incident and nothing more. But the moment that statement hit the public, The street started raising questions. Because when you lay everything out, the story doesn't feel simple or straightforward. So let's break down why so many folks feel something in this situation doesn't sit right. I'm laying out the details and the questions that people keep bringing up, and you can decide how it lands for you, because some parts of this are hard to overlook. The first thing people point to is the mental state angle. Police describe Nathan leaving under unusual circumstances and possibly being disoriented. That kind of language usually means a mental health crisis, substance involvement, or something that suddenly affected someone's judgment. But here's the part that confused the people who knew him. Nathan was reportedly doing well. He was focused on music, working on new projects, and had recently been on Family Feud with his father. He was active with family, staying connected and showing no signs publicly of a downward spiral. In the music world, especially hip-hop, mental health struggles are real and often hidden. We've lost talented artists to depression, addiction, and internal battles the public never saw. Names like Mac Miller, Juice WRLD, DMX, and more remind us that success doesn't shield anyone from what they're fighting inside. So yes, something like depression or anxiety can hit someone quietly. Mental illness doesn't care about fame, money, or connections. And sometimes the people who seem the most stable are the ones masking everything they're going through. Some individuals learn to move through life while carrying heavy pain, knowing how to perform, knowing how to smile even when their world feels heavy behind closed doors. So it's not impossible that Nathan was dealing with something privately, but what makes this case stand out is how sudden the shift appears. Running out of the house early in the morning without your phone doesn't look planned. It looks like something immediate triggered a reaction, something that changed the entire direction of his morning in seconds. Whatever happened to him didn't build slowly. It looked like an acute moment, a sharp shift in his state of mind that pushed him to leave without the one thing everyone carries. And that detail is what keeps the questions alive, because when someone goes from normal routine to sprinting out the door on foot without warning, people want to know what could have caused that kind of sudden break. People started asking whether Nathan might have been hit with a panic attack so overwhelming that he felt he had to run from wherever he was. Others wondered if paranoia made him believe he was in danger, or if he experienced a substance reaction strong enough to cause temporary psychosis. All those questions sit in the air until the toxicology report comes out. There's also the real possibility of a mental health condition that wasn't being treated or wasn't responding the way it needed to. Disorders like bipolar can cause manic episodes where judgment breaks down. Schizophrenia often shows up in a person's 20s and can cause sudden breaks from reality. PTSD can push someone into severe anxiety or fight or flight reactions that feel uncontrollable. Without more insight from the family, the public can only guess what Nathan may have been dealing with privately. Then there's point number 2, the pond. Nathan's body was discovered in a pond close to his home. Anyone familiar with Milton, Georgia, knows the area is suburban, quiet, filled with large homes, golf courses, and plenty of natural water spots. Retention ponds are common in neighborhoods all across the state, built into developments to handle stormwater. So the idea of a pond nearby isn't unusual at all. But the real question that keeps coming up is simple. How did Nathan end up in that pond? Was he trying to hide from something? Was he confused and wandering and somehow slipped into the water without realizing it? Did he walk into it intentionally? Was it dark, making it hard to see? Or is there another piece to the story that hasn't reached the public yet? Police saying there's no foul play means they do not believe anyone pushed him, restrained him, or caused harm. They reported no signs of a struggle. No witnesses mentioned seeing him with anyone. Nothing tied to suspicious activity. But no foul play doesn't mean the situation is fully understood. It simply means investigators found no evidence of another person being involved. The difference is important. Drowning cases are complicated. Medical examiners look for water in the lungs to confirm whether drowning actually happened. They check the body for injuries that might have occurred before the person entered the water. They test for substances and alcohol. They examine the surrounding area to figure out how someone could have ended up there. All these steps take time, and until every test is complete, the full picture is still forming. Point number 3 is the timeline. From Tuesday morning to Friday morning, 3 full days passed. Nathan was missing that entire time before his body was finally found in a pond not far from where he lived. And that raises a heavy question. Where was he during those 3 days? Was he still alive during some or all of that time, moving through the area in a confused state, hiding, or trying to stay unnoticed? Or did he end up in the pond on Tuesday morning, and the search simply didn't detect him until Friday? Without more answers, that gap remains one of the biggest mysteries in this case. Or did something else happen in that time window that hasn't come to light yet? Those are the questions investigators have to answer, because the timeline leaves space for possibilities. The medical examiner will perform the autopsy, study the body, and determine the time of passing based on decomposition and other biological markers. They'll look for injuries or defensive wounds, run toxicology to find out if any substances were involved, inspect his organs, and pull together whatever clues can help recreate those final moments. The condition of the body alone can tell them a lot. If Nathan was in the water for 3 days, there will be clear signs of that. If he entered the water more recently, it raises a completely different set of questions about where he was beforehand. Water temperature, the depth of the pond, and whether anything else was in that water all become small but important details that shape the investigation. Until those official answers come back, speculation is going to keep running, and social media has been full of theories since the news broke. Some theories sound possible, others sound extreme, but the conversation hasn't slowed down at all. People are trying to fill in the blanks with whatever information they can find, and when facts are limited, imaginations go far. Then there's point number 4, the industry angle. This is the part everyone thinks about even if they don't say it out loud. Anytime someone connected to a major name in hip-hop passes under confusing or unclear circumstances, people start building theories, connecting dots that may not actually connect. It happens every time. Folks start saying the industry took him out, or he knew too much, or he was sacrificed for someone else's success. Some even bring up talk about rituals or secret groups pulling strings behind the scenes. It's the kind of conversation that always surfaces when a tragedy hits someone tied to fame. I'm going to keep it real with you. Most of that talk doesn't hold weight. These types of tragedies are usually exactly what they look like. A mental health crisis, an accident, a personal struggle that became too heavy. Yes, the entertainment industry can be harsh, and it has its darker corners, but going straight to conspiracy without evidence doesn't make the picture clearer. It just adds noise. Lil Jon is a legend, no question, but he has never been tied to anything that would suggest he's involved in some secret group or extreme situation, like the ones people mention online. He built his name through crunk music, club anthems, and collaborations with artists ranging from Usher to LMFAO. People who know him describe him as solid, focused on his work, and deeply connected to his family. The statement he released with Nathan's mother, Nicole, was painful to read. They talked about loving him with their whole hearts, being proud of who he was, and making sure he always knew how much he meant to them. That is the sound of grieving parents trying to understand a loss that feels impossible. It doesn't line up with the image of people involved in something sinister. It lines up with a family dealing with heartbreak while the world watches, comments, and speculates, trying to make sense of something that already feels unreal to them. Even with all that being said, it's understandable that people still raise questions, especially in hip-hop, where the culture has seen more than a few situations that didn't feel clean. The industry does have a darker side, one built on pressure, manipulation, exploitation, and moments where young artists get pushed past their limits. Mental health gets ignored until someone breaks. Substance use gets enabled instead of addressed. So while I don't buy into the conspiracy theories, I do understand why folks wonder whether the pressure of being a legacy kid, trying to build your own name while carrying the weight of being Lil Jon's son, might have taken a toll on Nathan in ways nobody noticed until it was too late. Point number 5 revolves around that phrase everybody kept repeating: unusual circumstances. That line grabbed people immediately and hasn't lost its grip since. Police don't use language like that unless something about the situation stands out as genuinely strange. Unusual circumstances is purposely vague. It signals that something didn't fit the normal pattern without revealing exactly what the issue was. So what could fall under that type of phrasing? A few possibilities get mentioned. Maybe Nathan was going through some kind of mental or emotional breakdown that family members witnessed before he ran out. Maybe he said something that didn't line up with reality, acted paranoid, or showed behavior that was totally out of character for him. Maybe something triggered him that morning, whether an argument, shocking news, or something he heard or saw that pushed him into crisis mode. Some people wondered if he might have received a message or call that scared him, though if that were the case, police would likely be treating this differently. Others suggested he might have been dealing with paranoia or delusions, feeling like he was in danger even when nothing real was happening. That kind of mental health spiral can cause someone to flee without thinking. There's also the idea that maybe he was reacting to a tense moment inside the home, though that feels unlikely based on how close he seemed to be with his family. And of course, there's the possibility he witnessed something or was running from a real situation, though police say there's no evidence supporting foul play. The truth is, nobody outside the investigation knows what those unusual circumstances truly were. And unless police decide to share more details or the family chooses to speak on it, the public might never know the full story of what happened in those early hours of Tuesday morning. And honestly, the family has every right to keep those details private if they're painful or deeply personal. Not everything needs to live online. What did become clear was the way the hip-hop community reacted when the news surfaced. Artists from all corners of the culture, producers, DJs, fans, and longtime supporters came forward with their condolences, showing love to Lil Jon and the Smith family during one of the hardest moments of their lives. Social media filled up fast with condolences, memories, and tributes for Nathan. People posting black squares with his name, sending prayers to the family, and sharing stories about times they crossed paths with him, even if it was brief, and how his kindness left an imprint. What really stood out, though, was how many people in the industry used this moment to speak on mental health in a way we don't always see. Artists began opening up about their own battles with depression and anxiety, encouraging folks to check in on their people and reminding everyone that just because someone looks happy or successful doesn't mean they aren't carrying struggles you can't see. Rappers who usually show nothing but strength and confidence were suddenly talking openly about therapy, medication, and dark thoughts they've faced. That kind of honesty matters. We need more of that in our community. For so long, young black men especially have been taught to suppress emotions, keep everything inside, and push through instead of reaching out for help. The culture pushes this idea that vulnerability equals weakness, that crying or admitting you're overwhelmed somehow makes you less of a man. But that mindset has done real damage, and it's costing lives. If we had more conversations, more understanding, more resources, and a culture that accepted vulnerability instead of mocking it, tragedies like Nathan's might be prevented. So if you're watching or listening to this and dealing with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, or any kind of mental health struggle, please reach out to someone. Call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Talk to someone you trust. Find a therapist. Join a support group. Whatever steps you need to take to stay alive, take them. Your life matters, even on days where you can't feel it. Your story is still unfolding, and whether you believe it or not, there are people in this world who need you here. And to Nathan Smith's family, friends, and fans, I'm sending love your way. I hope you find comfort in the memories you shared, the love you gave him, and the fact that Nathan knew he was cared for. His presence left a mark, and the impact he had on people will carry forward. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and please keep it respectful. This isn't just content. This is someone's real life, someone's real pain, someone's real loss. Let's honor Nathan's memory by being more patient with one another, checking on our people, and breaking the silence around mental health in our community. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and I'll see you in the next one.